All right, you know what time it is. It is time for Vinyl Tag 2021. This is Chris from 1441 Vinyl. And today I'm just going to go through a vinyl tag that Andrew started over at Tales from the Crate. Appreciate you starting that, Andrew. This will be my first vinyl tag because I just started my channel about, the latter half of 2020. So in the middle of the pandemic and the lockdown and all that good stuff. So I've been trying to make this video for a couple of days and I've been so busy I haven't been able to do it. So let's get to it. So the first one is going to be a discovery in 2020. This album here I discovered when talking to somebody. I think it might have been Dylan over at Noble Records. I told him that I liked Van Morrison very much, and I'm struggling with maybe collecting all of his discography. And this is the band that Van Morrison was in prior to going out on his own, Van Morrison. And that is a young Van Morrison. You can see it without the glare. Here we go. So this is the band Them on a beautiful Decca. Old Decca. Anyway, so this is the band Them. After this album, this has the song, the hit song on this is Gloria. And after this record came out, Van Morrison left the band and became a solo artist. Not only that, Them did go on with another singer, and they had no hits really to speak of. So that was kind of interesting. All right, Quarantine By. This is awesome. So Quarantine By in 2020. It's a 2i Columbia Nashville Skyline by Bob Dylan. Bobby D. Not only is it a Quarantine By, but it is a promo as well with the timing strip. So I grabbed this off LP Guru's website in one of his feeding frenzies. This thing, man, I had to be quick, and I was just lucky and got it. So this was my Quarantine By. Great album, by the way. Great album. All right, an LP you want to find in 2021. This is an LP I have, but it's coming out on a MoFi one-step, and I want that one. I probably am going to buy that as soon as I can, as soon as it comes available. The MoFi one-step. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, their first album, fantastic. Marrakesh Express, Wooden Ships, Lady of the Island. Anyways, this is a classic. If you don't have this record, you need to get this record. This is a classic for sure, which is why MoFi is putting it out as a one-step. Right, and it's, oh man, I bet it'll sound fantastic, because that album sounds good to me. But the MoFi, you can't beat a MoFi one-step, usually. Box set. Now, in a previous video, I talked about a, what's it called? In a estate sale that I went to, and I bought all the records that this person was selling. I ended up selling some of them. I bought them for $1.50 and $2.50 a record. So they were pretty cheap. The majority of them that I could get rid of, I did. Some of them I couldn't, and I packed them up, took a road trip to a client of 1441 Engraving, and I went up to North Carolina to Noble Records and seeing that bearded beauty, Dylan. Whoops. Anyways, I went to see him, and while there, we kind of struck a deal, and Beatles box set, the Beatles collection, but it's a Japanese pressing of it. Thought it was really cool. If I open it up, it's just got all the records, all the Beatles stuff in there. Not only that is, see if I can, it's in the back. It's all in Japanese. So I thought that was really cool. It's a legit Japanese pressing of the Beatles collection box set. And that the vinyl sounds fantastic, and it does. This is a numbered box set, and as soon as I lightly get that back in, comes with the Obi strip on the front of the box here as you open it. That's the Obi strip. Be careful of that. And then the number, I knew there was a number on here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Number 11543. So 11,543. It's numbered right there. I don't know how many they made, but I thought it was pretty cool. You can get these off Discogs. I think, I don't know, they're like $400 or something. It's, you know, it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but I traded a bunch of records and ended up getting it. So that's how I ended up obtaining that box set. I didn't really have to pay a lot for it. I just was able to trade a lot for it. So a concept album. I struggled with this one. I'm like, concept album? I'm like, what am I doing here? So the only thing I could think of was Metallica S&M 2. This is fantastic. It is the San Francisco Symphony and Metallica. And it came in this nice, I think it's got 3 LPs, if I'm not mistaken, 3 LPs. Really cool, really cool wax. They're all like that. It came with a DVD. And that, I like watching the DVD a lot. If you get this album, make sure you get it with the Blu-ray or DVD, whatever it is, and watch that first, then go ahead and listen to the record. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. So, all right, moving on. An album where an artist or band changed directions. Again, I was lost. I'm like, I don't want to use my brain power. I'm supposed to be escaping from using my brain power. So I had to use my brain power, and I don't have much of it, guys. So the only thing I came up with was the Beatles when they changed direction and went a little bit psyche, right? I don't know. Does that work for you guys? Is that a cop-out? It could be. I don't know. So Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, the Beatles, they switched from where they were, poppy folky, to kind of psyche. So I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. I'm just talking head on your computer or TV screen. All right, next one, a white label promo. Showed this on another video. This is cool. I talked about this album when MoFi put it out on Super Vinyl. It sold out in about a minute. Not true. I had the opportunity to buy it. I was like, I kind of slept on it, and it was gone. Too late. Bob Dylan, Desire, white label promo, very cool. Yeah. So what happened was I slept on it. I couldn't buy the Super Vinyl version from MoFi. And then I went on Discogs and I'm like, I gotta get it. And the Super Vinyl is like $200 now. So you snooze, you lose sometimes. So I bought that instead. And I like I found it in a white label promo, so I picked it up. That's how I got that. Compilation album. I didn't really struggle too much. I've got a few of those, but probably the best one that I've got is Billy Joel's Greatest Hits. The MoFi edition, original master recording, number 1835, something like that. This is... I believe it's on 45. I don't want to make this too long. I'm just looking really quick. Does it matter? It doesn't matter, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. But if you have a chance to pick this up, sounds amazing. Really, really good record. And all your favorite Billy Joel tunes are in there. It comes with a nice booklet as well. All the lyrics. And yeah, so pick this up, especially if you're a fan of Billy Joel. Even if you're a casual fan of Billy Joel, you'll like this. It's just probably the best sounding that there is, edition of this record anyways. All right, so a compilation album, an album that tells a story. I also showed this in a previous video, in a couple of previous videos. If you're a fan of my channel, If you watch my previous videos, you understand that I had a good relationship with my mother. She passed away from cancer, and it was kind of a hard time. I ended up buying a car with some of the money she left me. I was driving away from the dealership. I turned the radio on. The first song that came on, boom, Spirit in the Sky. Blew me away. It blew me away. So that's the story. It was awesome, man. It was such a cool experience. You know, it was a Corvette, and my mother and I always talked about someday getting one. We were fans of the Corvette, and that's what I ended up buying. I bought a used Corvette, and I was like, Ma, I really wish you were here. And again, like I said, drove away, popped the radio on. That was the first song to come on, and turn on the waterworks. Go figure, right? But it was a cool experience. All right, an album that needs a vinyl pressing. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I'm watching a lot of these other vinyl tags, and they have some pretty good recommendations, but this is the best recommendation. You have to take my recommendation. Whoever's listening, you press this on vinyl, it's gonna sell gazillions. Why do I know this? Because the one I'm talking about is a second edition of the album. It's a remix of the original album. The original album sold gazillions, and you probably have it right now in your vinyl collection. Whipped Cream and Other Delights, Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Iconic album cover, right? And everybody probably has a copy of this lying around. And if you don't, you can pick it up for $1. Don't spend any more than that. Now, that's the original album. The album that I want on repress or on vinyl, that needs a vinyl pressing is Whipped Cream and Other Delights Re-Whipped. It's a CD, and it's really, really good. It's just a remix of the songs on the record, on the original album. There's the CD, got a bunch of whipped cream, cover model sitting around. I've listened to this, I don't know how many times. Such a cool rendition of all the songs. It is a legit remix of the original album. So I enjoy that very much. Put it on vinyl. It'll sell gazillions on copy. If you own a record label, call me. We'll work something out. I don't know. I don't have a lot of money. We're not going to do that. All right. An album cover. An EP. Wait. What did I miss? Oh, a common album and an uncommon album. So my common album is a variation of a common album. Dark Side of the Moon, right? Japanese pressing. Whoops. Yeah. Love it. Love it. This sounds really, really nice too. EMI label. All right. So Japanese pressing. I just love the artwork with the obi and the band there. That's my common album, right? Now, the same band, we're going to go stick with Pink Floyd. Again, pretty common album. You can pick them up. I think they've repressed a gazillion of these as well. Pink Floyd Animals. Pink Floyd Animals. Why is this an uncommon album? Because it's a French pressing that's pink. Beautiful. Beautiful. I saw this and I grabbed it. It was a Pink Floyd sale, of all things, on, what's the name of that website that just went out of business? It was kind of trying to take some of Discog's market share. I can't remember. Anyhow, I'll put it right here if I remember it. But so that's where I found it. It wasn't even expensive. I was like, oh, this is super cool. Pink out back then. I was like, oh, color record. I got to get it. So I grab it, and then I find out by watching Dylan over at Noble Records, he's like, oh, this is super rare, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? I was like, I didn't know that. So I ended up looking it up again. From 1977, it's a French pressing. I'm looking at it on Discogs right now. Median price of $92, and the highest price is $148. The lowest price you can get it is probably about a little under $100. 77 pounds. What's that, like $89 or something? And that's for VG Plus. And it goes all the way up to 190 pounds. So a little over $200 for that pressing. So I got a steal deal on it. I'm super happy. That's my rare album that I have. Uncommon album. You don't see a lot of those. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. So I'm trying to look. I don't know how many were pressed, but 151 has it in Discogs, 151 people, and then 495 want it. So that's interesting. How many were pressed? I'm just looking really quick, see if someone put it in here. I don't think so. Yeah, no one really has it. So I don't want to spend a ton of time looking it up. I just figured I'd try to find it real quick. So it doesn't say how many. If you know how many were pressed, let me know. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to know. So, all right, moving on. An EP. This is kind of unique, especially with the upcoming release of a Foo Fighters album in the works for 2021. I'm definitely interested in that. So I'm just taking it out. Here's the record. Very generic label. But on the other side, it's etched. It's all etchings. And what the etching is where it's kind of like a jazz. It's not jazz. It's rock and roll. But it's like when a jazz label puts out the positions of all the instruments in the room in the recording area. I know Impex kind of does that a little bit. So anyways, here's the record by Dave Grohl. It's called Play. Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters, right? Very interesting. Everything on the record, all the instruments were played by Dave and mixed by him and put together, and it sounds unbelievable. It sounds great. So that's him in the back on the drums in the studio. But again, he plays all the albums. It kind of opens up quite uniquely like this. And there is a picture, if I can see it, guys. Sorry about the glare. That's the ensemble. That's basically the position of all the instruments in the recording studio. So I thought that was kind of unique. Picked that up. I don't know. I picked that up about 2 years ago now. I think it was like at a Books A Million or something like that, like a bookstore. I thought it was kind of unique. I picked it up. Don't have any idea how much it's worth. I didn't look it up before the video. So, all right. A girl group. Nope, don't have one. Growing up, I'll tell you what, if I did have one, it would be the Go-Go's. And I know a lot of people are showing that in their own vinyl tags, but I had the Go-Go's growing up. That was one of my first vinyl albums I've ever owned. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But if I did have a girl group, I have a lot of female singers, but if I had a girl group, it would be the Go-Go's, and that's the one I would pick. An album cover you love. I went back and forth on this. There's so many albums, as you guys all know. There's so many album covers that are so awesome. So I picked Undercurrent by Bill Evans, just to be a little different. But, I mean, you can't argue how artsy and how you get nothing but drawn in to this record. Great album cover. Great album cover. There's a picture of Bill here on the piano. So Mo-Fi, Undercurrent. That's my favorite one of my favorite album covers. All right, an album that you've listened to the most. Oh man, have I ever told you how much I love this record? T for the Tillerman. I listen to this all the time. In a bad mood, put it on. It'll get you in a good mood. If you're in a good mood, put it on. Get you in a better mood. So, love this record. I grew up listening to this with my mother, my sisters. This is an Analog Productions on Pink Island label. And 45 RPM. Pick it up. It's one of the best sounding editions of this record. I also have it on, do I have a one-step? No, I don't have a one-step. UHQR. And I haven't opened that. That's a sealed UHQR. That is Rainy Day. Rainy Day. All right, moving on. An album that you had to get an OG copy of. Well, boom. I had to get an OG copy of this. I've got multiple editions. I do have a MoFi edition, not a one-step. I don't think it's a one-step. Definitely have a MoFi. Definitely have the UHQR, which I haven't listened to. This is the OG. It's not on Pink Island, though. It's an A&M. But anyways, had to have it. Love it. Doesn't sound anything close to Analog Productions. You can't touch that one. You just can't. All right. Let's see, an album you got, so the last album you purchased, in the last video, one of the former videos I did, I talked about this record. So what I did was I purchased a replacement for it because it sounded all muddy. Right about there. Boom, right? So this one is the green vinyl Rocktober edition, sounded all muddy. I had to get rid of it. It sounded horrible. It really did. Really opened my eyes on how awesome audiophile records could be. So I went out and I bought the 1987 version, which I haven't listened to yet, to be fully transparent. I have to wash it first. Haven't got around to doing it. But that's the original. I'm going to listen to that, and I could almost tell you it's going to sound better than that green vinyl Rocktober edition. An album that they don't get. An album they don't get. Vinyl Me Please put this album out. Never heard of him in my life. But I listened to him on the Vinyl Me Please website. Sounded pretty cool. Picked it up. Ended up really, really liking it. So Wells Fargo, Watch Out. Band from Zimbabwe. I think it's Zimbabwe. I don't want to get that wrong. I'm not going to look it up. I'm already at 22 minutes. So I'll look it up after. I'll put it here. Anyways, Zam rock. But very, you can tell they have a Led Zeppelin, not Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page is Led Zeppelin. Jimi Hendrix. Really, Jimi Hendrix, so cool. And the vinyl's really neat as well. Great story. They were playing through like a civil war in their country, and they said, you can't play rock and roll anymore. And they were like, double barrel. And they played anyways. They ended up getting their butts beat at concert. I mean, they were like, the police were like beating them. They finally stopped playing, but I think they're still around. I think they still live. They're still living, I mean. But I don't know for sure. I wish I knew. But great record. If you haven't heard that, pick it up. It might, and the reason why people don't get it is because it's still freaking for sale. As far as I know, you can still pick that up. What a great record. You'll enjoy it. The record actually tells a story too about the independence that they're seeking, and they want to separate from the government, and it's really good. A punk album, or the closest thing you have to it. I don't have a lot of punk. I don't have any punk really. I looked and looked and looked. I'm like, I don't think I have any punk. The closest thing I could get, and I had to look it up on Discogs, and I'm like, well, how do they label this? And they labeled it like pop rock. I'm like, so it's not really punk, but it's close. The Kinks? I don't know. You guys tell me that. Tell me in the comments. Is that punk? I had this album growing up. Seems punk to me. Give the people what they want, man. It's a good record. It's as close to punk as I have. So, all right. The last one, the favorite 2020 release. You know what it is. Everybody. And you can't argue with it. Everybody's got it. Wildflowers, Tom Petty. This is the 9LP edition. I had to spring for it just because it's got the hardcover book in it. Just awesome, guys. I don't care which one you get. The 3, the 6, the 7, the 9, the granddaddy, who I think they have 45 LPs, whatever. Get this record. If you're, this is fantastic. It sounds amazing. You don't have to get the big one. I just did because I'm an idiot. You know, I would have been very happy with the 3. I really wanted the live. I think it was the live sessions that they had on there. I wanted those because I heard part of it was recorded, I think in New England or Boston or something. So and I'm from that area originally, so that's why I sprung for that. But you don't have to. You can get the 3 LP. So that's it, guys. That is my Vinyl Tag 2021. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Take care.